Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thanks for joining me for another of our weekly videos. As you can tell, I am home today because of the snowstorm. We weren't able to go into the office, and I left all of my study materials there. So I've got this Chanukkah to talk about. Even though by the time it's Shabbat this week, Hanukkah will technically be over. Thursday tonight is the 8th night, so we have all of our candles set up. So by the time it's Friday night, which of course is Shabbat, then Hanukkah is technically over. But because I don't have my study materials, because I don't have my Tanakh or anything with me, I figured we could talk about Hanukkah anyway. So I hope you'll grant me a little bit of slack for this. Anyway, actually before I even talk about it, I want to show you this menorah that I have. It is the city of Jerusalem, and it's really neat. Oops, hold on. All right, remember, Judaism is about the doing and not a performance. Sometimes things go wrong, like the kickstand on my computer going down. We're all set now. So, as you all know, you light the candles. You light one candle the first night, 2 the second night, 8 on the last night. So that on the last night of Hanukkah, you have a very bright menorah. It's very festive. The Festival of Lights comes to fruition. However, that isn't necessarily the only way to celebrate. There is in the Talmud a very famous discussion between two rabbis who I bet you've heard of. You've certainly heard of one. There's Rav Hillel, and then there's Rav Shammai. And so they are arguing over the best way to light the Hanukkah candles. And Hillel is the one who says what we have ended up doing. And there must be some Jews who do it the other way, but most Jews do it this way, which is that they light the shamash, and on the first night of Hanukkah, they light one candle, second night they light 2, and on the 8th night they light all 8, as we discussed before. But Shammai had a different idea. He said that because he was thinking about the time of the Maccabees, and when they lit their oil, it probably burned pretty brightly. When you first light a candle, when you first light an oil lamp, it burns pretty brightly, rather. However, as time went on, even though it was a miracle and the oil lasted longer than they thought it would, clearly the oil is going away. It's being burned, and so the light is going to be reduced as time goes on. And so what Shammai wanted to do was you light 8 candles on the first night, and then on the second night you light 7 candles, and on the 8th night you light only 1 candle. He thought this was more, I don't want to say realistic, but more commemorative of what the Maccabees actually went through, where even though there's less light as it goes on, it's lasting a long time. And so the miracle is not in the brightness of the candles and the brightness of the menorah, but the miracle is actually in the length of the burning. But they have this debate for a long time, and ultimately the majority of rabbis at their time agreed with Hillel and his arguments that they should light 1 candle on the first night and 8 candles on the last night, and therefore increasing the joyousness of the holiday, even if it's a little inaccurate to how the Maccabees probably experienced it. And I personally think that that's the right decision, and here's why. When we have holidays, they should be for the people celebrating the holiday. They should be for us. They should be about the people who we're remembering, about the event, about the time, whatever. But ultimately, the holiday is for us. And so when we are remembering the past, we need to apply it to ourselves, and we can't be focused on how the people in the past thought about it, because their point of view is pretty limited. And as I'm sure you all know, people in the past often had thoughts that we don't accept nowadays. There are some very obvious examples, like slavery, like women not having equal rights. But really any thoughts from the past probably don't fit into the present perfectly. Even if you think a few years ago, there are some things that are acceptable now, there are some things that are not acceptable now that were acceptable before. And I'm sure that there's the other way around as well, where we realize things that we were denying were actually allowable, whatever those are. Anyway, I think it's really great that Judaism has had this discussion, has preserved this discussion. You can look it up if you want. If you want to Google, I don't know, Shammai and Hillel Hanukkah discussion, you will find a lot. Well, you'll find a lot of summaries of those conversations. But if you want to see the actual text, I'm sure you can find that as well. I have not actually checked, but I would be shocked if it doesn't exist online in some form. Anyway, yeah, I think it's great that Judaism has had that discussion, has preserved that discussion, and has said the holidays are for us, the people who celebrate it. We should have our holidays, our happy holidays. Not all of our holidays are happy, of course, but the ones that are, which Hanukkah definitely is, we should have it be better as time goes on, so that as the holiday goes on, it becomes more celebratory rather than diminishing, because in Shammai's case, you would have less candles going, and it would just seem the first night would be great, and then you would have less and less light, and I think that that would be very difficult to keep the joy of the holiday going. So, whether you have a real menorah, well, I don't want to say real, whether you have a traditional menorah with actual candles, or whether you have a more modern contraption with electronic candles, I hope you had a Chanukkah Sameach, a happy Hanukkah. As you can see, part of mine broke, but the light still works. And thank you very much for joining me for this particular week. Enjoy the weekend, stay safe and stay warm, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Shabbat Shalom.